Welcome to another episode of the podcast known as Blending the Family. I am your host, Tommy Maloney. Thanks for tuning into episode 171. And you might be going, Tommy Maloney, aren't you that guy? Yes, thanks for asking. So what is Blending the Family? Thanks for asking again. On this podcast, we talk about what is a good wine on a first date. We talk about men's mental health. We've even talked about having celebratory anniversaries the day of your wedding anniversary, but you're no longer married. Yes, tune in to that episode. How are you? You doing good? I am extremely sunburnt on my head. Didn't wear a hat. Didn't wear sunscreen. And for those of you that are going to watch this episode on YouTube, you will see the sunburnt. You will see the Blending the Family hat that I should have been wearing this past weekend. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. How are you doing? You doing good? Are you out walking the dog? I'm always curious when people are listening to a podcast. My wife and I were actually driving back from, where were we? Holy cow, where were we? Breckenridge, Colorado. And we were listening to Michelle Obama's new podcast, and she had Conan O'Brien as her guest. And so we're sitting in the car listening to a podcast. Are you driving right now listening to this? Are we going through the drive-thru? Are we on the treadmill? Are we out on a jog? Are we, I don't know, working out? I used to work out to audiobooks. Yeah, especially Gary Vaynerchuk's Crush It. That was a really good one to work out. There you go. All right, episode 171, we're going to be talking about from the book, my first book, 25 Tips for Divorced Dads. Tip number 5 today. And what else? What else is going on? I got sunburnt. Had a great weekend. We had it was a little getaway. So a little bit of marriage advice. My wife and I try and take a trip every quarter, and due to the pandemic, the situation that we're in right now, we haven't been able to really utilize the ability to go and take trips, but we were very fortunate to head up to the mountains this weekend. It was gorgeous. So that's my advice for you. Every quarter, try and take a trip, even if it's a few miles down the road and there's a hotel and you guys can just chill, relax. Right now, can't order room service, we couldn't order room service, which we weren't planning on anyway, but we wanted to eat, at least breakfast at the hotel, which we couldn't do. And there was no swimming pool, no hot tubs, so that was a bummer because the hotel we stayed at is one of my favorites going up there. I guess I can give them a shout out. Doubletree up in Breckenridge. Great people up there. Love Breckenridge, Colorado, and Frisco. I like those two towns, and I'm blanking on where we ate. Anyway, so there you go. That was my weekend. Again, if you watch on YouTube, so just go Blending the Family on YouTube, you'll see this episode. You'll see the sunburnt. You'll see the hat. And before I get crazy and say, don't forget, always go to the website, blendingfamily.com. You can read the blogs. You can see the coaching packages. On the Instagram and on the Twitter, they're both Blending Family. So follow me there. And blendingfamily.com, YouTube, find me, Blending the Family. So there you go. So again, on this episode, we're going to be talking about tip number 5 from the book, 25 Tips for Divorced Dads. Tip number 5 actually is make your time with them quality versus quantity. And you'll hear me talking about why you should get gingerbread houses, and maybe get gingerbread houses for around the year. That's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. So there you have it. That's really all I had for you. I'm going to now maybe put a little aloe on my forehead and try and get the painness out, so to speak. All right, there you go. Well, enjoy this episode. Again, episode 171 of the podcast, or you can head over to YouTube and watch it live, in person, in action, when it was recorded, live and in person, in action. There you go. Stay safe, everybody, and please, not only wear a mask, but I hope you're 6 feet away from your speaker right now. Welcome to another episode of Blending the Family, the video, the podcast, the tip. From the book, 25 Tips for Divorced Dads. Hi, my name is Tommy Maloney, and I am the host of the podcast Blending the Family, and I'm also here on video for those that are watching on YouTube. And for those of you that are playing the home version of this game, as you can see behind me, unless you're listening to the podcast and you can't see this, on the ugly board over here, how to find me. blendingfamily.com is the website. Blending Family and Blending Family are on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find me on YouTube at Blending the Family. Did I mention I'm Tommy Maloney? I think I did. How are you doing? You having a good day here in northern Colorado? Or actually, most of the state. I think we're getting some snow right now. Not as much here where I live, and that's okay. I'm a little bummed because our puppy Otis, this would be his first time seeing snow, and how cool is that going to be? There you go. All right. From my first book, 25 Tips for Divorced Dads, this is actually tip number 5. If you've been, again, following along, we've been doing a tip a day. Now we're on to tip number 5. And here we go. Tip number 5, make your time with them quality versus quantity. You do not need to create an event. Just being with and talking to them is more vital than you will ever know. And in my little notes section, I put in here, simple idea of making a gingerbread house. I don't know if you're going to make a gingerbread house this time of year, but here's the thing. I put the gingerbread house in there because that's what my son Connor and I would do around the holidays, is we would get a couple of gingerbread houses and we would just make gingerbread houses, and they would stay in the house for a while. I remember throwing them out, I think, in July. Anyway, so you don't have to have an event. By the way, blendingthefamily.com. The hat. Well, not yet. Not on the website yet, but for those on the podcast, I'm pointing at my new Blending the Family hat. Events. So it doesn't always have to be an event. And I get this from somebody I used to know. We're not in touch anymore. But what this guy would do is he would actually, when he'd pick up his daughter, the first thing he would do is head over to the toy store, the very first thing. And I'm like, that to me, that was not parenting. That was bribing. And so doing things as simple as just having lunch with them, bringing lunch to their school. Well, I don't know if you can do that now, but in the past, I would do that, go stop at whatever my son wanted, be it a sub sandwich or a chicken sandwich from another place, and I'd bring it to school and we'd sit there in the cafeteria and just have lunch. And I always remembered that as a kid, there was a mom that would do that. And she wouldn't stay. She would actually just come by and bring her son McDonald's. And of course, we're all jealous because he's getting McDonald's. Little did we realize how unhealthy it was. But the point is, she was making that kind of effort. And so when I became a dad, that's one of the things I thought about doing was having lunch with my son, and it's fun. It's you get to be in their element. And again, it doesn't have to be a Broadway showcase event. It's just simply sitting down having lunch. Now with older kids, if you live in the same area, you can have dinner together. My son and I, we've done that a couple times where we've met halfway and we've had dinner together, just hanging out. And it's fun because it's just the two of you having that moment. And again, it doesn't have to be something, like a circus. You don't have to put up the big top. You just funnel it down, have fun with it. And so a couple of things I've been very blessed with, because my son was playing travel hockey. And so when we would go out of state for tournaments, it would be he and I. And of course, he'd hang out with his buddies at the team hotel, but it still would be he and I. This was us. This was, the boys' weekend, and creating memories that way. And so in that situation, yes, that's an event, but we were creating, little things, just hanging out in the hotel room, or going to a grocery store and grabbing stuff, and just, it's the little things in life, really. And so when I think about, it's quality time and quantity time, for me, the quality time is just sitting there, being present, being in the moment with them. And so that's what tip number 5 means to me, is just being present and being in the moment of, again, it doesn't have to be a big production. So there you go. So tip number 5, again, make your time with them quality time versus quantity. And again, let me talk about real briefly, the making of the gingerbread house. Find things that, I am not mechanically inclined. If you had ever seen those gingerbread houses, you would say they should, mine should have been condemned, and so I am not mechanically inclined, but find things that, you and your kids can do together. I miss those days. I miss, going to the local grocery store during the holidays and seeing the display of the gingerbread houses, and grabbing a couple of boxes and just creating time together and moments together. And so again, it doesn't have to be expensive. Maybe it's just walking to the park together. Maybe it's shooting hoops somewhere. Maybe it's just playing catch. Just little things. So there you go. 25 Tips for Divorced Dads is the name of the book, and you can find that on Amazon, and soon an updated website. Soon an updated website that I desperately need. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this. Please, I think I'm up to, as of this, I'm up to 10 subscribers on YouTube, which that's fine. Right now, the downloads on the podcast are off the roof, off the chain, whatever the kids say today. I'm so blessed. I love doing this. I really do. And so there you go. As my good friend, one day he'll be my good friend. And by the way, I don't think I've done it. I am extremely sunburnt. So for those of you on the podcast, unfortunately, I would go to this YouTube video and you can see how sunburnt I am. The wife and I went up to Breckenridge, Colorado recently for the weekend, and met up with some friends that we haven't seen I haven't seen them in a while, years. My gosh, it's been years. But the weather outside up in the mountains was so beautiful, so gorgeous. And as you can see on YouTube here, I did not wear any sunscreen, and I just got a haircut on Friday, so I am pretty sunburnt. And I know you're saying, Tommy, that's a rockin' hat. See, that's why you have to watch us on YouTube. Why weren't you wearing your rockin' hat? I said, I don't know. I should have been wearing the rockin' hat. The Blending in the Family hat. Should have worn it. All right. Anyway, back to my dear friend. One day he'll be my dear friend, Terry Crews. And as Terry Crews said in this wonderful interview, your success is my success. 25 tips for divorced dads. Tip number 5. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great, awesome rest of your day, starting your day, or just chilling. Have a great day. Gotta hit the stop.